Good evening, good evening. Happy Saturday weekend. It's 8 p.m. Hope you guys are all well. Thank you for the one person that's already watching the live right now. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. If this is the first time you're watching the replay, please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Tonight, I want to talk about the paranormal. I understand that this may not be a topic for everyone. Everyone may not feel that this is something they can chime in on because of religious purposes or other personal belief purposes. And I respect it, to each his own. No disrespect to anyone out there. Definitely want to shout out that I have a few more new subscribers. I believe at this point I have 54 subs. So I'm like, okay. That's super duper lit. I do have Mr. Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron in the chat. Good evening, Mr. Negron. How are you? Hope all is well. Thank you for pulling up to my live stream tonight. I really appreciate you coming through. Hope you had a great evening. I want to spend a special shout out to the 18th letter as well. Good evening. Thank you for pulling up to my channel. Thank you for being here with me around 8:02ish. I'm like 2 minutes late. I was working on another reel, like another video I had to bring my intro in, but for some reason it wasn't coming through. Good evening, Suds and Satin. How are you, Queen? Girl, I am drinking Montebello Long Island iced tea, but you ain't hear that. Nobody listening right now. I done had 2 cups, so I am super buzzed right now. So I don't think I need the cup I got on the floor right now. But shout out to that pink Moscato. That's what's up. Tonight, I want to talk about the supernatural, guys. Again, no disrespect to any culture or religion that does not wish to discuss this or talk about this. Understand that everyone has certain beliefs and values where they're not allowed to engage or watch or view or comment or be engulfed or involved in certain things. So I respect those people who are in those groups that cannot participate in this live. But to those people that are not in this group that can participate in this live, please feel free to join the panel when I drop that link to drop the panel to this show for tonight. So before I get into all of that, shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for pulling up. Shout out to Jose, Raheem, and Prue for being in the chat right now, showing the girls some love. I hope you guys saw my morning free fit live workout on Instagram. I did a squat challenge. I didn't really get a chance to post and promote it throughout the week, but I ended up doing a squat challenge and I landed about 260 squats. So I was like really feeling myself like, okay, girl. I got some little extra love, happy weight on me right now. And I'm like, okay, I had my menses last week and I thought it was for the menses, but the weight is still sticking around. So I'm like, okay, to the pregnancy test. I'm not pregnant. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, I need to get back into my workouts. So I did a live this morning and I ended up doing 260 squats. I got real finesse with it. I did some walking squats. I did some sumo squats. I did some deep squats. I did some basic squats. I did some froggy squats. I try to get really diverse with the whole squat thing today, and I feel like I did a pretty good job with the whole squat thing. So shout out to Raheem. You said you saw the challenge. If you guys are like watching my live videos and you guys have like an auntie or a sister or a girlfriend or a baby moms or a cousin or niece or nephew or auntie who wants to get in workout, please refer them to my channel. Send them the link to my live workouts that I'm doing on Saturday mornings. And Jose, I'm doing laundry tomorrow morning. I already have my whites and my colors sorted, so that's on my agenda for tomorrow, is to do laundry. I'm also trying to go to trying to surprise someone with tickets to the Michael Jackson concert on Broadway. So I may be doing that tomorrow too. I don't know, but gotta figure that out. But anyway, yes, happy weekend, you guys. Hope you guys are chilling. Hope you guys are good. Y'all know the girl got caught with that COVID last week. I was positive with the COVID tip and I was upset and pissed the F off about having COVID. I was like, you know what? I can't believe I went the whole pandemic and I just caught this ish like this. But I'm negative right now. I'm good. I'm still taking zinc, oregano oil. I'm taking elderberry. I'm taking vitamin C or vitamin D. I'm trying to take all my multivitamins. I'm trying to be on my vitamin game like like 100. I'm trying to be on everything, so definitely trying to get back into my workout routine since the doctor gave me the green light to go crazy, get busy, go on beast mode. So yeah, your girl is back. I'm about to get really crazy with it because I love the way my body is looking. Despite the we're talking about, our main topic later. I like my curves. I like my inches. I want to maintain the weight of, I'll say 170 and 176 ish. That's the goal weight I want to stay into. I like the inches and everything I got working right now. So that's what I want to achieve. And the meatless diet has been great to me. I definitely lost some inches that I needed to lose for my own personal feelings and values and beliefs. And I like the way my body is looking right now. So I'm going to continue on this meatless diet, but don't be shocked to see if the girl goes back to meat. I'm thinking about going back to turkey. I know that's so crazy. I'm not announcing it. I'm not putting it out there like that for the whole world to know, but it's something I've been pondering because I feel like I eat a lot of shellfish right now, a lot of seafood, a lot of fish, and I'm eating it, several times a week, and I don't know if that's the best thing for me. And when I do like an abundance of vegetables, there's the situations with too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So I may be going back to turkey. I don't know. Definitely probably not chicken because chicken is the reason why I end up cutting meat out my diet, period, point blank, with a T at the end. So yeah, I'm thinking about going back to turkey, but I don't know. As you guys know, I have children, so I still cook meat. My children are not vegan, they're not pescatarian. Um, so I still cook meat, and although I can't taste it to know how it's coming out, I just cook from memory. So it's something I've been thinking about in my mind. But shout out to everybody who's here rocking with me. I just wanted you guys to know that, I appreciate you guys. So you guys know, last week I was at a pop-up shop in North Plainfield, New Jersey. I met a lot of entrepreneurs, made some contacts, some networks. It was a great experience. It was a Layu event, so I wasn't really dressed appropriately, but I definitely had the nice colors on for the event. But again, shout out to all my new subscribers. I got 54 subscribers. I don't know how the heck I got them, besides the fact that my shorts on YouTube have been going bananas. I've been getting really large engagements and volumes of views when I post short videos for some reason. So all those short videos does not help me regarding getting to the hour time and follower time of people I need to get to a monetized account. It definitely shows me that, I have something to offer and I may be moving in the right direction on certain things. So I'm going to take a sip despite the fact that I already had 2 cups and it's not wine. I already feel nice. I'm going to take a little sip because my mouth's kind of dry. All right. So next up is our topic for the night. Our topic for the night right now is the paranormal. So why am I talking about the paranormal? This is something, I personally believe in. I don't disrespect anyone who can't talk about it, have no feelings of negativity or any other ways about people who are not down for this conversation. Get it, got it, cool. So good in the hood, baby, baby. But I definitely believe in the paranormal. Not that I'm a person who is, worshiping witchcraft or voodoo or, burning candles and stuff like that. I don't mean that way, but I do believe in the afterlife. Life continues, spirits, whatever you want to call it. I believe those things exist. I believe in situations where people may have weird phenomena that are unexplainable. I believe that, people can be dead, but, physically, their spirit is trapped, or they're not sure of their transition and they're lingering around on earth. I believe that we may have dreams that are like spiritual visions that kind of can be similar to paranormal situations where we may be speaking to a loved one who is deceased and no longer with us on this earth and maybe in another realm, and we feel that connection. We feel that, we may get a message from someone from the grave. And although we're not physically talking to them, it could be a dream, but we really feel that there was a conversation had between us and that person. And I say all that to say, some people may feel like, is this a dream? Some people may feel like it's a spiritual connection. Some may believe it's the paranormal. There's conspiracy theorists that have a whole nother interesting, view on the whole topic. But I've been in certain situations and environments when I've been around other people where we all experienced the same thing, and it was super surreal. And I want to talk about this topic because I'm a person that I'm into those kind of things. I'm definitely into the TV shows about the paranormal, definitely into conspiracy theorists, definitely into having dreams of people from the past or the dead, have conversations with me that feel really real. Definitely from the realm of, believing in people who say that they saw visions or they had manifestations appear in front of them, or, there's orbs in pictures, or, they feel that, they've been visited from the dead, or, all of those various things. I kind of somewhat believe in a lot of those things. And I feel like that doesn't mean the population of people who, like me, believe in some of those things are crazy. We have people from the South, the Geechee people, people of Cherokee Indian descent, and other people of from southern states who feel, um, it's a real thing. There's rituals and traditions where ancestors are blessed and worshipped and celebrated as if they're alive, and in these traditions and spiritual cultures and things like that. It's like the person is physically here. So I want to talk about that. I definitely feel like I've had witnesses and accounts of real spiritual things that have happened before my eyes that I cannot explain, that make no sense, that I cannot call the police to tell what happened, that I couldn't get help on. And I had eyewitnesses to it. Some of us may think about it in a sense of maybe you're home one day at home and you're home alone, no one's home with you, and say you go get a beer from the refrigerator or you get a glass of water or something like that, and all of a sudden your glass explodes, your beer explodes, or something that normally is really fixed to the wall and hung tight falls and breaks, or a light twitches too much, or when you cut off the lights in a certain part of the house, something always just seems to manifest for you. Something, or you may get that feeling of you're not alone when you're in a home all the time. There's a weird creak or whatever the case is. There's a sense of your hairs are up on your body. There's a sense of something more or less of, you feel like there's an energy around you. There's a presence. And again, a lot of people believe in this, which is why some people choose to burn sage. They choose to sage their house. They choose to have people come to their house, ministers or priests, to bless their homes. Certain people carry certain crystals, to feel protected wherever they are 24/7, or they leave them in their house. Some people, even charge their crystals. They put them in the sunlight for periods of time just to protect the energy around themselves and their loved ones. But then again, to be realistic, this is not something the entire world believes in. This is only a certain population of people that believe in these things. There may be certain cultures that may put candles by their door. There may be certain cultures of people that may burn candles upside down. There may be certain cultures of people that may put glasses of water in certain parts of their house to see if the water bubbles or if the water dissipates too quickly. So there's variations of cultures of people who believe in different things. And we all don't believe in the same thing. However, we all connected, so we all have our own personal experiences of things that we went through in the past that made us feel like there's something more to this earth and us than just the physical beings of us and animals and other creatures. Especially when we go through the period of loss. So I know some people maybe feel like, what, she sounds crazy. She lost her cousin to gun violence. She may have had loss around her, so maybe she's in a dark energy area where she's going delusional or going out of her mind, and she's trying to make sense of things by reaching. And I don't think this is it. My cousin Ramus was only 22 years old. He wasn't the first loss I had, and this is not about me being overwhelmed or not healed with losing him. But this is something that I've experienced way before he passed on to glory, being 22 years old. So I say all those things to say that I'll tell you guys a story of something I experienced a long time ago when I was about 11 to 12 years old. I grew up in the 80s, had parents, who struggled in the streets around the 80s, so we know what that means. And I was always in different people's houses, sleeping, spending nights, eating, showering, going to school, living with other families, pretty much so to say at one point. And there's a period of time where I spent so much time at one of my friends' houses that her brother said, we should claim you in our income tax. That's how much you hear. But I just say that just let you know how much I was physically at this environment, this apartment, this family, around these people. So one day it was me and my best friend Aretha Russian. I love this girl to death. Even to now, I love her to death. Haven't seen her in years, but I still love her just how I loved her when we was 11, 12 years old. She taught me how to cook, how to braid my hair, how to clean up behind myself, how to speak up for myself, how to have a voice. Shout out to Aretha Rushington, wherever she is, my best friend for life. Haven't seen her in probably over a decade, but I love that girl to the moon and back. But anyway, to finish my story, I spent a lot of time at her family's house. We'll call them the Rushingtons. That was their last names. It was a house of maybe 13 to 14 children, all stair-step ages, boys and girls who were very well trained on how to cook, how to clean, how to do household chores. Every child had a role in the household, from cooking to cleaning to babysitting to doing hair to doing laundry. You get the drift. It was that kind of household. So it was a great experience for me to be around my friend Aretha and her sisters and brothers. It was definitely a growing pains kind of moment, but fun times. This was back in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. I was definitely around between the ages of 7 and 10 when I had this experience with the Rushington family, and I lived right around the corner from the Rushingtons, but everybody in my house was on drugs at the time, and I really couldn't be home. My home wasn't suitable for a child my age, so my mother would let me be at the Rushington's house because she knew I was going to get fed, I was going to get bathed, I was going to go to school, I would get my hair done, and she knew I would be in a safe environment where BCW or ACS wouldn't take me. And the family knew what my family was around the corner, and they took me in. They knew my situation. And yeah, there were certain kids that made fun of me, whatever the case is. But I spent a lot of time with this family. That's the point I want to put across right now. So anyway, moving forward, there was one day we all kids. Aretha, she had so many sisters and brothers and uncles and aunts and cousins. It was about maybe 12 or 13 of us one day in her living room, and we decided to play this game called the Ouija board. Y'all know what the Ouija board is, right? The Ouija board is this spirit board that people tell you don't play with. It opens roots and magics and gates and portals and demons into your house, and it's bad juju and all that other good stuff, right? But we're kids. We're 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. It's about maybe 14, 15 of us. Aretha had about 15 brothers and sisters, not including nieces and nephews and cousins. And one day we all in her living room playing the Ouija board. And this was a really, really good, interesting night in the projects. We playing the Ouija board in her living room. Her parents was gone. The house was clean. All the kids did their duties or their chores for the night. So we was just having fun in the living room. So, we're playing, asking stupid questions. Some of us is moving a little triangle thing. If you ever played the Ouija board, it's like a little triangle piece, and it's a flat board with alphabets from A to Z. There's numbers from 0 to 9. There's a yes and a no on the board. It's a flat board. It folds into two, opens into one. It has that old gothic, kind of font letter on the board. And it's something you shouldn't be playing with, no matter what culture, race you from, what age you are. You shouldn't be playing with it, but we were playing with it. Again, this is going back in the late '80s, early '90s. We playing with it. So it's about maybe 14, 15 of us in the house. Again, we're talking about sisters and brothers, nieces and nephews and cousins. We're in the projects, Butler projects back in the days, you know what I'm saying? This is where I was right at the time, because again, this is the time where I really couldn't be home. I couldn't be in my house in 2B in Butler Projects. I had to be in 2F with the Rushingtons, but I loved every moment of spending all that time with them. So we playing on the Ouija board, whatever the case is. So we call ourselves talking to a spirit. So we talking to this spirit. So the spirit telling us, it's in the house with us, whatever the case is. Now, mind you, I'm 40 years old right now. This happened when I was like 11. So I'm forgetting some of the details of all the specifics of the things we asked the board, or whatever the case is. But long story short, it comes to the point where some trippy shit starts happening in the house. Now, mind you, ain't no adults in the house. It's just a whole bunch of kids in the house. So we in the living room of Aretha's house. So let me break down how her project apartment was at the time. So as soon as you come into her house, it was a small vestibule foyer. Then it was a large kitchen. To the right, it was a large living room. From that large living room was a very narrow hallway that led to a bathroom on the right and two bedrooms on the left. In front of those bedrooms was another room. Then there was a corner with another bathroom and another large room. So boom, we all in that first living room by the foyer in the kitchen. So all of a sudden, we're talking to the Ouija board and we're asking Ouija board questions and everything like that. So all of a sudden, there's no activity on the Ouija board at this point. Let me take a sip of this wine. I mean, this mozzarella, because my tongue's getting super dry. Again, if you're watching this stream right now and what I'm saying sounds super interesting, please like and subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up right now because I want y'all feedback. I want y'all views and opinions after I finish my story. I'm open a platform to my guests who are in the chat right now to see if y'all have any stories y'all can relate to. So boom, back to my story, right? So the board goes silent. We don't hear nothing. So we asking the Ouija board. I think we asking him if the person's still here with us. Hey Ramon, how are you? Good to see you here with me. Thanks for being in the chat, waiting. I'm gonna drop the link soon as I finish my little story. Good to see you pop in. Thanks for being with me right now. Telling a story right now of my experience with a Ouija board when I was a little kid and wanted to discuss the paranormal tonight. And I understand that this topic is not for everybody, for cultural purposes, for religious purposes, for personal purposes. My mom would not watch this because she's a Jehovah's Witness. She would not be a part of this. So I understand this is not for everybody. And I respect that it's not for everybody. But it's for me. And it's something I experience. And it's something I believe in. So all of a sudden, the little triangle on the Ouija board starts moving to the left and to the right. And at this point, I don't remember if I can say that the people that were holding the Ouija board triangle with me were physically, purposely moving it, but it got really weird in the room. All of a sudden, no lie, I swear to my two daughters. I have a 23-year-old daughter and I have a 13-year-old daughter. I swear to my daughters, all of a sudden, I think the light went out or it started flickering. Then all of a sudden, do you guys remember back in the day? I don't know how old you are out there in the chat watching or people that's watching in the playback. Do you remember back in the day how there was those stereos that it was a radio plus a cassette plus a disc player at the top plus the subwoofer? It was one of those kind of things my best friend had in her house. It was like that tall tower stand radio that had the cassette player, the radio player, and like the record player at the top. We was getting into all kind of mischief, Ramon. We were like definitely little project kids, not knowing no better, doing all kind of crazy stuff, playing manhunt in the buildings, going outside, playing Ringo Levio and Red Light, Green Light 1, 2, 3, and playing manhunt and tag. We were tomboys, sweaty, musty, dirty little kids with dirt on our fingernails and toes, had wingworms. We were dirty little rough kids back in the day. I swear we was. I always had rips in my jeans and my jackets from climbing fences. I used to fight boys. Like, I've been rough from gutter. But anyway, back to my story. So all of a sudden, the light started flickering in the living room. We all got all scared, like, woo. And then all of a sudden, the radio player in the living room went to the top maximum volume of max blast music. It scared the shit out of all of us. And the funny shit is, the shit wasn't even plugged up to the fucking wall. Yo, let me tell y'all how all 14 of us, mind you, I just gave y'all the dimensions of how the apartment was laid out. Let me tell you how all 14 of us tried to run through that narrow hallway to the back rooms where the second bathrooms wasn't all the bedrooms were. We were stomping on top of each other, stepping on top of each other's heads, necks, feet, screaming. We was all bruised up. We could not understand how the fuck did this radio player go off when it wasn't even fucking plugged up. Now, we knew it wasn't plugged up because, again, I said all the chores in the household was done. I practically lived in this apartment, so I was doing chores in the apartment too. I was cleaning bathrooms, I was washing dishes, I was learning how to season food and how to cook food. So I was really independent in there. I was really a part of the family. I just didn't have their last name. For real, for real. Yo, we was fucking scared to death, screaming, bloody. Some of us was scratched up. Some of us had knots on our head. Because y'all know them project walls is hard. So if you fall into a project wall or floor, you're going to get a bump or two. You're going to definitely bust some white meat too. You're going to definitely have some little trickles of blood coming. We were scared out of our fucking mind, Joe. That was like the most crazy experience I've ever had as a child. And after the passing of my maternal grandmother, I definitely seen one time I was living in a shelter with my mom. We had a fire. We had got burnt out of that crack apartment that I wasn't in. That was around the corner from my best friend where I was living in. We had got burnt out of that apartment, and me and my mom had went to a shelter. And one night when I was in the shelter, we had like these bunk beds in the shelter. And one time I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I saw the entire bathroom light blue, light blue in color, like the light blue gown my grandmother was in her casket in. The whole bathroom was illuminated in blue. The bottom of the bathroom cascading from the out inside out. I could see it cascading from the bottom of the floor, from the top of the ceiling, from the cracks of the parameter of the door frame. I could just see this beam of light blue light beaming out of the bathroom, the same exact color of the dress my grandmother was buried in. And I felt like that was my grandmother's presence. At my baby shower, I had so many orbs in my photos. A lot of people who believe in paranormal believe in orbs. I had so many orbs in my photos, and me and my child's father had so much loss by the time we conceived our child Megan together, and we had so many orbs in the photos, and that was like super crazy for me. And again, I know we all believe in our own things, each his own. But this is something, I definitely believe in. I believe when people die, they don't just go to the dirt. I feel like their spirit lingers for a while. I feel like, they're with us at certain times of our life, when we're at our lowest, when we're at our weakest, when we follow them in prayer, when we try to reach them in prayer. I feel like their presence is with us. But that's me. I'm not a spiritual person. I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible. I don't do none of that. But this is just my personal belief. And on top of that, I just feel like, what's to say that death is the end, Who's to say it is, No one's came back to tell us that, right? No one's came back to tell us that that's not that either at the same time. But, this is my personal belief. And I've had several other experiences, being home alone, hearing things, seeing things that I can't explain, physically seeing objects move in front of me in my sight. I've been in my apartment now in New York City. I saw a wine glass move in front of me with no kind of water or dissipation around the counter to explain it. I've seen spoons fall. I've seen things in my presence in different parts of my life, in different times of my life, in different areas. So I don't feel like I got a curse or a hex anything on me. But again, this is just my belief. I really believe that there is a such thing as a paranormal. I do believe in spirits. I ain't gonna go as far as to say I watch charm and believe in demons and gothels and all the other craziness, whatever the case is. But I definitely believe that there's a spirit of life and it can come off as the paranormal. I definitely watch TV shows, stuff like that, like Paranormal Activity, the Osbournes, and I definitely feel like I know when something looks fake, so I'm not obsessed with watching videos of the paranormal. I'm just speaking about my personal experience with people and people in certain situations and things I've encountered on my own. It's even been to the point where I've been at home alone in my house and I started talking like, yep, I see what's going on. I ain't scared. Because every house has a certain sound, a certain creak, a certain, certain normal sounds you expect. But when it comes to the sounds that are not the normal sounds, the shadows that are not the normal shadows, the weirdness that doesn't happen. That's, for me, how something is up, something is different. So I'm gonna drop the link to the stream right now. Anyone who feels they have encountered something the way I'm speaking about, anyone who feels that they have something that they can add to this conversation, anyone who feels like they can relate in any kind of way, whether it was through hearsay whether it's through, their own personal experience. You can feel free to join my stream. I don't intend for this to be a pretty long stream because I don't think a lot of people are into this, but I'm not concerned about the people who are not into this. I'm concerned about people who can relate, who seen these things, had these experiences, had situations where things happen in front of them that does not make sense, that can't be explained, that if you tell someone, they'll look at you like you're fucking lying, right? You're not serious, right? I'm looking for that. And again, this is not a whole internet research about creating a team or creating a bill. Is not that deep. Is nothing about that. It's just me expressing my feelings about things I've seen, been through with other people who can vouch for the situation. And they've seen certain things. So I definitely have my first guest behind the in the back, and I'll bring him up. You guys know him from the cold and spear days and all the other good stuff. So I'll be introducing Mr. Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of hesitant on joining the stream because I really don't believe really in the paranormal, but I do respect those that do.
Understandable. Again, I think this is not a topic that a lot of people will willingly want to engage in because a lot of people have strong belief in things that don't make sense. There's no reason to believe in them, so I definitely get that, and I respect everyone who feels that way.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, it's very easy to to make comments or to make judgments, but until you walk in that person's shoes, it's very easy to comment. I mean that is the reality. It's just that due to my upbringing, I have some beliefs. One of the beliefs is when a person dies, eventually they go to only two places, and determining where they end up is based on how they conducted themselves when they were alive.
Hey, Miss Ao, thanks for pulling up. How are you? Thanks for showing some love. Well, thank you, Jose. I definitely respect that and appreciate that. And despite you being hesitant to pop up on a stream because of your personal belief, I definitely respect that you came up despite having those personal beliefs and values. So thank you for your transparency and your honesty and your bravery for just saying I'm gonna just jump up there anyway.
Well, it's okay. I mean, look, there's going to be times where we're going to hear different views where we may not agree with, and that's fine. The main thing is to be agreeable when we disagree. I mean, if you take a look, I've there have been times when I've disagreed with everyone that I associated in YouTube, and we kept it positive.
Yeah, I definitely seen that with you on your channel, especially when you have your panel guests or even when you've been on other panels of other people that you subscribe to. So I've definitely seen those constructive criticism, panel conversations go back and forth in a mature way.
Mhm. Yes, because when everything is said and done, this is not something to be taken like life and death situation. I mean, this is social media. So the whole point of social media, I mean, while you have different people who are on social media for multiple reasons. My reason is to try to share what little knowledge and experience that I've gained in my nearly 60 years of life.
Amen to that, and keep on praying for another 60 years.
Well, according to certain people, I'm already old. So,
Well, I'm old too. I got great eyebrow hair, so it's over for me.
oh, please don't even go there. I mean, you look very youthful. um, at your age.
So let me tell you, I hope I'm not disrespecting you by sharing my personal experiences. Is that disrespectful to you in some way? Me
No, I do
telling
not no, no. If I really consider it disrespectful, I would not even turn on to the stream at all. I mean, look, the reality is this: everybody has different experiences, and those experiences are based on certain things that happened previously. Okay, now in all fairness, I have never had any experiences with the paranormal. I never used Ouija boards and lucky rabbits for it or anything like that because I don't believe in such things. I believe that depending what actions that you take, it's going to bring about um, results. If you take good actions, you're going to bring about good results. If you take bad actions, you're going to get bad results. So that's why I really don't really believe in all of that.
I feel you. I mean, again, I was a kid when I was playing with the Ouija board back in Butler Projects in the Bronx, New York, back in the late 80s, early 90s. But even as an adult in my late 20s and late 30s, not so much in my 40s, I had experiences, even in my home where I've seen things that are unexplainable that I'm often by myself. Sometimes I've had witnesses in my home. I witnessed it as well, and I'm grateful when I have those eyewitnesses because, the worst thing is to feel like you're crazy or you're cuckoo or you're loony because no one's seen what you're saying. So it's always great when you have a witness. But one thing that I've seen quite often, I'll say, even people who visit my house, who spent nights in my house, have all those witnessed it as well, is the shadow figure thing. So not to try to certify it or coin it as something, anything specific, but I'll just put it to you as this. There's been times where, I'm laying in my living room and I'll see a shadow figure from a certain wall. It's always a certain wall. Um, when I'm laying in a certain position or I'm sitting in a certain position, whether the light is on or off, whether I fall asleep and take a nap or not, there's this shadow figure thing I see. And even my mom has seen it, and even, other people have seen it. And it's to the point where I'm happy they've seen it because now I know it's not just me. And now I know if I say it, I don't sound crazy because I have witnesses. And I don't take it so deep into, like, voodoo and black magic and, I got to do all these things to protect me and, all these beliefs and prayers, anything like that. I don't take it that deep, but I just take it to the point of me saying that I know that, there's something other than us here, spirits, whatever you may want to call it. I don't know. There's definitely other beings out here.
Hmm.
And it's something that really freaked me out the first few times it happened. But because nothing violent or aggressive or spooky happened thereafter, and I kind of started acknowledging I seen it and saw it, and tried not to be scared about it. It's like, okay, ain't nothing gonna hurt me in here. I'm good. Try to be bold about it, or whatever the case is, not be like a mish. So
Hmm.
those are kind of the situations where I may call it spiritual, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, where it's like you see something that you can't explain or can't identify or, can't express to anyone because they may think something's wrong with you.
Hmm. Yeah, because not everyone's gonna look at things, in the same way. Um, but the fact of the matter, there are influences that are out there. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, and depending on the actions that one take, that will ha- play a role whether those images or appearances are actually positive or negative. I truly believe in that. Um,
And I definitely think that sometimes too, the things we see on TV and movies, may have a lot to do with, what we may, hold in our subconscious minds, So if you're constantly watching things that are dark and gloomy and weird and spiritual, it just may be in your head too much. So, you may think you're seeing these things, So to have an eyewitness is a little bit different versus, you're consumed with watching this kind of content. So it's only natural that you'll start dreaming about it or think you're seeing things because it's always in your frontal lobe or cerebellum or whatever you want to call it in your brain, so to say. So
Hmm.
my goal was to see, how many other people have had similar experiences or, had an input or take on this topic all around because again I know certain topics are just controversial or they're taboo to talk about or again regarding your culture and your belief you're not allowed to speak about it in any way shape or form. So I was really interested to touch base on that. And I see I have another guest who's going to be on the panel. So it's Mr. Maceo El Moro. I've never had him on my panel, so nice to officially meet him. I know he's a friend of yours, Mr. Negron, correct?
Yes, he is.
Great. So I'm going to be adding him to the stream right now. Good evening.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for blessing my live stream. I really appreciate you pulling up, coming through.
Absolutely, appreciate it.
So, can you relate to anything?
Good evening, Marcel.
Good evening, Jose. How you doing, buddy?
Can
I'm
you
fine,
relate
thank
to
you.
anything? I don't want to feel like I'm cray cray.
No, no, I have a lot of experience in this. So yes, yes, I do. Um,
um,
there is precedent for this. For a lot of people who, especially if they're coming from the Abrahamic religions, that they talk bad about this. If you look biblically, one of the best stories that's known in the Bible is the Witch of Endor, 1 Samuel chapter 28, where she actually conjures up the spirit of the prophet Samuel who had passed away because Saul, even though Saul had outlawed witchcraft in the land of Israel, because Samuel passed away and Samuel had already explained to King Saul, who was an Israelite king, that he had fallen out of favor with God, with Yahweh, the Jewish God. Saul decided to dress himself up as a commoner, and to visit the witch of Endor, who was known to be able to conjure up spirits. And as the story goes, Saul dresses himself up as a commoner. He has his guards with him, and they go to the witch of Endor. When they see her, Saul, again, she doesn't know it's the king of Israel. Saul asks the witch to please summon the spirit of Samuel. And the witch responds by telling him, "You know, I'm not supposed to do that because King Saul had outlawed this all over the land of Israel." And he said, "By my word, no harm shall come to you." So then, the witch of Endor started to summon the spirit of Samuel, and in the phrasing goes that many gods were coming from out of the earth. So this gives credence because a lot of spirits, they don't dwell up above us, they dwell in the earth. So it said many gods were coming from the earth, and in those gods that were coming from up out of the earth came the spirit of Samuel. And Samuel asks, "Why do you disturb me?" Because he was dead. And then the spirit recognized Saul, and Saul is asking Samuel, "What have I done to fallen out of the favor of God?" Long story short, the witch realizes that it's Saul, the king, who has come to her. But as he kept his word, and no harm came to the witch, and that was the end of the story. And if people actually take time to read the Bible, in the book of Joshua, not even in the book of Joshua, in I believe it's in Numbers, when Moses takes his staff and Yahweh instructs Moses to build a brass serpent. Remember, there's a prohibition chapters before in Exodus 25 that talks about you can't make any images. Yet Yahweh instructs Moses to make a serpent of brass so he could heal his people because Yahweh had sent them a plague for doubting his word of snakes. So then Moses had to go and fashion a brass serpent to put it on top of the staff of Aaron, and anybody who gazed at the serpent was going to be cured. So a lot of if you people actually take time to read the Bible, the whole prohibition against what's called magic and the paranormal actually falls apart. If you look at the book of Joshua, Yahweh instructs Joshua to go to Jericho to in order to make the walls of Jericho fall down. He instructs them to go around the walls of Jericho 7 times. That's all ritual. That's all ritual. And don't even get me started on the Christian portion of it because that's it's also there too. I mean, turning water into wine, the loaves of fishes, the even the resurrection of the dead. If somebody today resurrected the dead, what would you think they were? You wouldn't think they were the son of God. You would think they were a witch.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked if you can repeat that scripture. I'm not sure which scripture that was. Did you
Which
just quote a
which of Endor is Samuel? First book of Samuel, chapter 28.
Also, are you good? Are you uncomfortable? Are you fine right now?
Well, okay. First of all, me and Marcel have had similar discussions, and I do understand his point of view, his point of view that there is multiple contradictions in the Bible. I respectfully disagree, and I have made myself perfectly clear. And I know that when he says such things, he's not attacking me per se. He's just expressing his observations and how he sees the Bible and certain aspects of Christianity. So, am I wrong, Marcel? Or
Well, no, no, this has nothing to do with you. I'm just explaining.
yeah,
That people Catholics are generally a lot more, especially from Latin American countries, are way more tolerant of this kind of talk because in Latin America, especially in the Caribbean, it's not really Roman Catholicism, it's more like folk Catholicism. You see it in Cuba, in very big in Cuba. You see it very big in the Dominican Republic. You see it very big in Puerto Rico. You also see in Puerto Rico. I mean, the best spiritualists on the face of this planet, in my opinion, are Puerto Ricans. And I mean, Jose, I don't know about you when you were a little boy, but I know that if you went into East Harlem or if you went into the South Bronx on the Saturday afternoon, there would be people running spiritualist circles. And you could have just been walking on the street and you would have seen people praying and chanting inside of a building dressed in white, and you would have gone in and followed them in, and they were having a spiritualist circle, and people would be getting possessed not with the
Uh,
Holy Ghost, but with actual spirits of ancestors and other healing spirits to help people move forward spiritually.
I like that you
um,
mentioned that the Holy Ghost. Sorry to cut you off, Jose. Because I'm not a church going person. I don't read the Bible every day. I don't, do, all that stuff. I have read the Bible as an adult. Definitely kind of scary and spooky to read it by yourself from front to back and not jump around every verse. But the Holy Ghost, that itself, that's called allegedly a spirit that you get, correct?
actually, okay. This is I believe it does exist. Also, what I call evil spirits does exist as well. As far as Marcelo point, yes, I've seen. I'm aware of people. I have seen people that appear to be santeros, all dressed in white and what have you. And I have never been to any of those services. I do know that they do exist, and I think this is where it gets kind of controversial because we tend to think of any influences that does not come directly from God, come you know comes from the what we call the adversary. So that's why you have certain um, Pentecostals and evangelical Christians and even some conservative Catholics would consider stuff like Santeria as satanic. No offense, Marcel.
Oh, no, take it.
I want to just put out there for everyone watching. I have 4 to 5 viewers right now. I'm not a religious person. I believe there's a God. I don't go to church. This stream is not to attack any religion or culture about any belief system. Again, I'm just talking about my personal experiences, things I've personally experienced by myself among groups of other people who have been eyewitnesses to me. Things I've seen that I cannot explain. I'm not thinking or feeling like I'm possessed or have a dark cloud or anything like that. Is not what I'm trying to convey in this conversation. It's just to convey, if you do or do not believe in the paranormal in the sense of maybe it can be shadow figures, maybe it can be things moving around your house, maybe it can be orbs in your pictures, maybe it can be, feeling the feeling of being possessed or someone not being themselves or, just, feeling that presence or that energy or, being able to not explain the unexplained that you eyewitness. No disrespects to any culture or anyone who has beliefs or values in anything of that nature. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, so like with the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, what's does anybody know what the symbol of the Holy Spirit is?
A dove.
A dove. Okay, good. The dove, the white dove, originally started out as a messenger for Inanna or Ishtar, the Mesopotamian goddess who was very revered. We're talking 2000 BC, 1 to 2000 BC, because she has different avatars within the ancient world. So you have Inanna. I think that's the way she was known in the Canaanite religion. Before the Canaanite religion, there was the Mesopotamian religion, and she was known as Ishtar. And she also had other no, other manifestations throughout the ancient world. So the dove, the white dove, was considered to be her messenger. When the religion translated over into the Greco-Roman world, she became synchronized with a goddess called Athena, who took upon her messenger the white owl. So if you ever read, I believe it's the Ilias. I don't remember. I don't think it's the Odyssey. I think it's the Ilias, where Athena comes to Tamaulipas in the form of an owl to let him know that he is his father's son. There's a lot of correlation between the two Greek, both of those Greek epics, the Ilias and the Odyssey, very reflected in the New Testament, especially in the Book of John. The Book of John is really the most Greco-Roman out of the four Gospels. So you have Matthew, Mark, and Luke are known as the Synoptic Gospels. John is a gospel on all of itself, and John starts off with the concept of the logos, was all something that was already existed within the Greco-Roman world. So it literally says in the beginning of John, the Word became flesh. The word, the Greek word was logos. People also don't know that the gospels were written in Koine Greek. They were not written in Aramaic. They were not written in Hebrew. They were written in Koine Greek. In a very sophisticated form of Koine Greek. In order for somebody to have written up to that level, there is absolutely no way they would not have read and studied the Greek epics that had already been in existence for hundreds of years, because they were classic at that point. And it was used in all the Greco-Roman studies to teach people how to write. You see what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, that's when it comes it's really interesting because the Holy Spirit is actually the female goddess. That's what was inherited from the ancient religion, and it was turned into the Holy Spirit, and the gender was taken out of it. But they don't understand that they a lot. If you try to explain that to Christians, they don't understand that.
Because I assume that anyone, again, I'm not as educated as, maybe yourself and Mr. Negron because I'm not in church often. I don't read the Bible often, or, I didn't grow up that way. But I would assume that anyone who would say that the Holy Spirit is not real would be offended in any culture or any way any culture may identify a form of a Holy Spirit. I feel if anyone said that was fake, that culture or that group will be highly offended. And I've seen people express and say they went through this and express their story and testimony of what it was like and how good it felt. So if that can be just as authentic and real in various cultures, why can't anything else be?
There would be no Christianity, there would be no Judaism, there would be no Islam if it wasn't for the ancient Egyptian religions and the ancient Mesopotamian religions. That's where a lot of that stuff, if you look at was it Leviticus? The scapegoat. We've all heard that term, the scapegoat. The scapegoat is a ritual that the Jews used to perform where they would take two goats. One goat would be sacrificed in honor of Yahweh. The second goat would be sacrificed to Azazel. Today, when you say that name Azazel, people automatically think of the devil. The original translation was that one goat would go to God. The second goat would be presented to God and then would be let go in the desert and would be pushed off a cliff. And that goat was to be dedicated and sacrificed to Azazel. In the modern translations of the Bible, you do not find Azazel. They just say the second goat is going to be the scapegoat. That's where the term comes from. But they took Azazel out because people don't want you to read the Bible the way that it used to be.
Very interesting. Jose, would you like to respectfully reply to what
Okay.
Messiah was saying?
Well, I think part of the thing that bear in mind is how you read the Bible. I mean, some people read the Bible expect it to be literally everything that's literal. And there are parts where it's literal and there's parts when it's not literal. Okay. What's an example not being literal when Jesus tells us if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your hand causes you to sin, chop it off. If your foot causes you to sin, chop it off. I mean, okay, most people would recognize that he wasn't talking about actually plucking out your eye or chopping out your hand or chopping out your foot. It will be an allegory to removing those areas of your life that will lead you away from God. To me, the Bible is many things. It is historical. It's also a life manual. Okay, how for me to conduct myself first with God, then with people who are Christians, which we call believers, and then people who do not believe. But but Christianity broken down to its most simplest forms. There are two commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and being, and love your neighbor as yourself. Who is your neighbor? Everybody. Okay. And if you truly love God, you're not gonna do anything to hurt your neighbor or harm your neighbor or do anything that your neighbor that to your neighbor that you don't want done to yourself.
Understood. So, in respect to your culture and your belief, can I ask you, Jose, have you ever had a moment or experience where you've been through something that is literally unexplainable, but you've witnessed it with your own eyes?
There have been unexplainable situations. However, it was not, with all due respect, it was not like using a Ouija board or crystals or what have you, or attending any site type of services, uh, uh, you know um, like like a ritual like Santeria or what have you. I have experienced unexplained situation in services where it is believed that God's presence was very strong, and
Mm-hmm.
that there was people either because of this, either because of the sermon or either because of the music or what have you. Um, People have gotten emotional. People have been led to tears. People, in my estimation, was set free. And I'm trying to use my term very carefully because I don't want to sound judgmental in any way, shape, or form. Because I understand not everyone believes like I do. I'm just simply relaying what's been my personal experiences. And I'm not being judgmental to those who do not believe because it's not my place to make judgments on those people.
Well, I'm asking you just for your personal experience, and I respect and appreciate that. So thank you for doing what you do.
You're welcome.
Maseo, would you like to comment or add anything more regarding what we're talking about?
Yeah. If you don't, my whole point, I'm not attacking Jose, I'm not attacking Christianity. I'm just showing that if people, if you want to see this stuff like up close and personal, if you really want to read about it, start reading the Bible. It's all in there. I understand there's some parts of the Bible that tell you, no, this is all wrong and this and that. I believe Deuteronomy, I forget which chapter, talks about the dreamer of dreams and the false prophets and so on and so forth. Um, However, if you just take the time to read what's going on in the Bible, and not just the Bible, you could take the Quran and you could start reading about the Quran. I mean, in the Quran, you have jinn, which are modern day Muslims consider them to be demons, and that what they actually are is they're remnants of ancient Arabian religion that survived in Islam. Okay, talking ants. Okay, night journeys on a winged horse. So these are all things that are also in the Quran. This isn't something that's just isolated to the Bible. You have this in both portions of the Bible. You have this in the Quran. It's all throughout the Abrahamic religions. Okay. Now, as far as a Ouija board, don't mess with a Ouija board if you don't know, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because you can seriously open up a portal that you're not going to be able to close if you don't know what you're doing. A Ouija board, I think even some of the most advanced people that I know would not lay one finger on a Ouija board. It is one of the most dangerous instruments that you can use. You could call up some serious shit with a Ouija board, and then you're not going to have any idea how to get rid of it. You could get yourself a priest, you could get yourself a pastor, you could get yourself whatever, fucking witch doctor. You're not going to be able to get rid of what comes through if it's really bad enough. Okay. As far as crystals and stuff like that, things like crystal quartz, like a night, especially if it's in the shape of a pyramid, you could actually amplify spiritualism with that piece on its own. I mean, there's other things that you can use. There's other types of crystals, but just a clear quartz, you put that on your spiritual altar, and it's on your spiritual altar, and that's actually amplifying the. It's like think look at it as putting a giant magnet to just pull in and attract. And if you know what you're doing, you could actually attract the right stuff, the right type of energy. If you know how to call what you're looking to call. So it could be the spirits that walk with you. I believe that we're all born with guardian spirits. We're all born with guardian spirit guides, if you know how to call them. Blood ancestors, if you know how to call them. But then when you start calling other things, that's when things start to go south. Because if you're not going to know how to control what you're calling, the Jews have the Kabbalah. The Jews have the Kabbalah. Spiritism, the way that it's practiced in Puerto Rico, was born from Catholicism in France. People don't know that. The French were the ones who actually started messing with that. And it made it to Puerto Rico. And in Puerto Rico, I'm telling you, there is no better spiritist than a Puerto Rican. Cubans also, very good.
Yeah, because
And
I'm gonna tell you really quickly another short story. When I was in my early 20s, I had a best friend from South Carolina, and she was very much into witchcrafts and voodoo and black magic, and I didn't really know much about that besides hearing like my grandma, my older aunties and uncles who were from the South talk about that kind of stuff. So when I heard her talk about it, I had a little prior knowledge about it, but I wasn't really educated on it. I say all that to say, some of my southern relatives, who I don't see often unless it's a death or a funeral or, or a wedding or a reunion. Some of these people that were from like Virginia and like, North Carolina, South Carolina, they were very well educated into, these seances and, things that I was not educated on. And they really believed in all these things as such as, burning candles and, going to the botanical store and getting certain symbols and idolized figures and praying and worshiping and certain type of cleansing you should do for the household. And as a kid, you don't really understand really what you're saying. You just know, you're burdened with being with a older relative to, to be with them to the store, whatever the case is. But you don't really understand until you meet someone who's into it, who's your age range, who can explain to you the purpose and the root of the situation or why they do what they do. So this particular young lady, also a good friend, like a best friend of mine, as I mentioned earlier in the stream regarding, being a kid, not being able to be home, living with another family, in the projects because of what my household consisted of. I had another friend in my early 20s. Her name was Tasha. She was from Newburgh, South Carolina, and her family and her really deeply believed in black magic and voodoo and, you know, specific detailed saying and seances and, words you would say to make certain situations happen, and again, according to her, even if you don't believe in this type of thing, this thing is so powerful that even the non believers can be affected by this thing. This thing I say, being, people who strongly believe in the power of these type of situations, such as black magic or voodoo or whatever you want to call it, not to confuse or manipulate or confuse it with, the paranormal. But, again, I mentioned paranormal because when you see things in front of you that you can't explain, that the average person wouldn't believe, you kind of feel crazy. So to meet someone who has written documents or words or sayings or rich paperwork that's passed down from ancestors to ancestors about how to get a loved one back, how to deal with loss, or there were like specific like pretty much I don't know how to say it, but they were like specific like dialogues and rules and like instructions on how to fix every situation through this friend that she experienced, as far as, you know, how to, cut away, bad voodoo or bad juju, or, how to get rid of negativity. There were specific things to do, such as buy something from the store, say this saying this amount of times, burn this, or fill this canister with water and put it here. Like, and it was strongly, strongly believed, to the fact that even if you didn't believe in this, these people, this group of people felt so strongly in this that they lived by it. And it was, for me, it was kind of like, wow, that sounds kind of crazy. But the stories I've heard from this person who I trusted very muchly were crazy. Things that I would be afraid to repeat back to someone else because I would feel that they would judge me and think that I was a cuckoo.
Um,
Okay.
I just want to address MK this comment that Christians need to look to other religions because it would really improve their worldview, and that my beliefs are Christian, but I stopped restricting myself to looking into other religions. Um, okay. I'm going to speak for myself, okay, because not all Christians are the same. Part of the problem, because in the Bible we are taught, and again, and I'm applying to myself. We are taught we're in this world, but we're not of this world. So while we need to live in this world and make sure that we get along with everybody, whether they believe as we believe or what have you. I mean, there's certain things, there's certain practices that as a Christian we just cannot participate in. Okay, and I'm not passing judgment on anyone that does. I'm just simply giving you what is my perspective as a Christian.
And I totally respect it, and I respect everything that Maseo was saying as well. And I thank you both for being here to express your viewpoints and opinions, so I don't feel like a cuckoo for cocoa puffs. I love that I have the diversion and two people that have a different opinion or view on it, and then I have myself. And it's a learning experience because I'm learning certain things right now through Maseo. I'm telling my prior experiences and stories, and I'm hearing the chat, I'm hearing you, and everyone's coming from a different perspective, whether it be cultural or personal, political, educational. Everyone has something different to offer in this chat. And this is what I was looking for, that type of engagement where we're learning, we're stating viewpoints, and we're vibing off of each other. So it's all good. And, I respect everyone's viewpoints at this point.
Yeah, and I just want to address what Denise said regarding um, that we have like a European view when it comes to religion. Um, Again, I'm just going to simply apply it to myself. Um, to me, Christianity is more than just European. It's more than North American, South America. It's um, it's worldwide because we are taught to spread what we call the gospel, the good news to the whole world. So therefore, by simply think of it as European, it kind of defeats the purpose. I do understand where she's coming from though, and I'm for you do have Christians who think very narrow, almost to which I would call they have the spirit of a Pharisee, where some of them would think that they're better than other people, and they need to remember that that is not the case. And God is very good of humbling people who are very proud.
Miss Say, I want to give you the opportunity to reply to anything you see in the chat, anything Jose and Nagone is speaking about. I definitely appreciate you both being here because you're opening my mind up to the cultural belief value way of it, the conspiracy way value think of it, as well as my own personal experience view way of thinking of it. So you dropped a lot of jewels and tea for me thus far this so far, Miss Sale. So anything you want to comment or say right now?
Sure. Okay, so when I was listening to what you were talking about your family members down south, and like the witchcraft and black magic, I just want to, with your permission, kind of just like correct a couple of things. Um, Witchcraft. All witchcraft is. It's a scary sounding word. We've been conditioned to think that that word is either inherently evil or implies evil. All witchcraft is the ability to manipulate energy in order to produce an outcome. That's all it is. That's all witchcraft is. There is nothing evil inherently about witchcraft. All it is to produce an outcome by manipulating energy. That's it. The intent is what makes it either good, evil, or neutral. So it depends on the person. And there's different ways that you can do this. In what I practice, it's considered that one of the most primitive forms of witchcraft is by the mouth. You say something. And if you know what you're talking about, you could actually make it manifest. That's where the whole incantations come from. Now, people will say, well, that's satanic. No, it's not, because you could take the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms are nothing more than incantations. Incantations. And if you have a glass of water and a candle and you know how to read the Psalms, you could get yourself out of a serious jam. If you got problems with the law, if you got problems with health, if you know how to use specific Psalms with just a glass of water and a candle, you could do serious witchcraft with that. So if it's already in the Bible, how can it be evil? You have to know what you're doing. Your family to the south, your ancestors in the south knew this because that's where hoodoo was from. It's commonly called root work. So if you ever had that grandma or that great grandma where you would have any physical or spiritual ills, she might be able to help you out if she knew how to work with the roots of a plant or with the leaves.
What do
A
you
lot
guys
of
think about? I'm sorry to cut you off, Miss Sale. I want you to continue, but when you continue, I want you to also answer this question too. What do you think about the whole astrology and horoscope part of reading and predicting what your future is going to be? But continue what you were saying though.
I with okay, astrology I think is useful to give you an idea of the natures of people. So by taking somebody's by analyzing someone's birthday, by analyzing the constellations that were present when that person was born, not just the sign. I'm talking, we're going in deep now. The constellations, the moon phase of when that person was born, the exact day, the exact moment. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. There's a lot of things about that person that you can figure out. There is a book called the Encyclopedia of Birthdays.
Hmm.
If you're really interested, it's a big, thick book. If you're really interested, I suggest you look for it, see if they still have it on Amazon. I bought it years ago at Borders when Borders still existed.
I remember that plot, that plays
Um,
Borders.
excuse me, if I can just, I'm sorry.
Yes, Jose. Yes, please.
Um, I think in a way Denise is kind of taking taking a jab at me because for my beliefs, and I find it a little bit odd. I mean, we can if I can deal with people who hold beliefs different from I am, I'm having a hard time. What is it that the people that the believe in the teaching of Jesus of Nazareth, and this be okay, and this being European when it originally came from Judea. I'm trying to I'm struggling with the concept. How is Christianity a European religion? I would appreciate if someone would explain that to me.
Oh, I can explain that to you. I can explain that to you.
I'm gonna
That
be
I could.
silent because I feel like I cannot afford to speak because I don't go to church and I don't read any books. So I'm gonna let y'all handle this, but I'm watching.
Okay, okay, no, that's actually easy to explain. Okay, none of the four Gospels and none of the epistles of Paul were written in the Holy Land. If we go on biblical chronology, the epistles of Paul were written first, 20 to 30 years after the crucifixion of Christ.
Hmm.
Paul himself says that he was a Jew, right? That he was a Pharisee. His original name was Saul. On the road to Damascus, while he was persecuting the Jewish believers of Christ, he had a revelation in which Christ came to him and he converted on the spot. He changed his name from Saul to Paul. I have a problem with that because Paul is, if I think Corinthians, I don't remember if it's the first Corinthians or second Corinthians, attacks Judaism ferociously. And Paul doesn't talk about the virgin birth. Paul doesn't talk so much about the miracles of Christ. Remember, these were the first writings, not the Gospels. The Gospels didn't come. Mark wasn't written until roughly 70 AD. So that would have been 40 years after the crucifixion of Christ. And I'm being generous with that. I actually personally, I'm not a biblical scholar. I think Mark was written and completed a lot later than that. I think it was completed in the second century. There might have been a few paragraphs of Mark, but it's very difficult to say because if you look at Mark, Luke, and um and Matthew, a lot of them sound exactly the same. There's just some differences. It's almost like him out, and then Luke and Matthew were trying to outdo Mark. That's where, if you notice, if you read Mark, Mark as being the first gospel, there is no account of the virgin birth. Mark starts with the baptism of Jesus by John. Mark does not mention the virgin birth. Yet he's considered to be the very first gospel that was written and completed, in my opinion, sometime it wasn't. I think he had a basic outline in 70, but it wasn't completed until much later. Remember, the canon did not start really coming together until around the third century, or even the fourth century, around the time of the Council of Nicaea, which is where really the Christianity at that time really started to take form. That was the Council of Nicaea in 325 was really where Christianity took a giant leap forward, because now you had all the early church elders, the presbyters as they were called, the bishops, they all came together and they started unanimously decreeing, this is going to be our canon, this is going to be our beliefs, and we're not going to have any other discussions of anybody who goes against this is going to be declared a heretic, and we're going to excommunicate. We're going to kick them out. So going back to Paul, those epistles were written outside of Judea, most likely in Asia Minor, known today as Turkey. The fact that these were written in Koine Greek, Jesus did not write in Koine Greek. In fact, we don't even have any proof that he wrote. We don't have any, there is no piece of paper signed by Jesus. If we're going to say that Jesus was speaking Aramaic, which was a form of Hebrew, and that he was not an educated person, if he would have been of the upper echelons of the educated Jews in Judea, then I would give it to you and say, you know what, he probably did speak Koine Greek and probably did know how to read and write it. But there's no proof that he was supposed to be a person of the masses, a common folk. Europeans took this idea that was floating around in Christianity and they molded it against their own religions, specifically the Roman Imperial cult. I want to repeat that again so people could look it up if they're listening. The Roman Imperial cult. That's where the Pope came from. The Pope was known as Pontiff Maximus, Pontificus Maximus. That was the title of the head of the Roman Imperial Court. That's where the Pope comes from. The College of Cardinals were the College of the Pontiffs under the Roman Imperial Court. So all they did was swap out Greco-Roman religion, and they usurped what they understood Christianity to be in order to create what was ultimately known as Roman Catholicism. There's a lot of stuff that I'm skipping over because I'm not even talking about Orthodoxy, but that's how the Roman religion turned Christian. Pontificus Maximus is not something unique to the Roman Pope. It is something that existed prior to the Roman Empire taking on Christianity as a state religion.
Okay.
Thank you for your commentary and educating us and dropping those Jews and tea on us, Marcel. Jose, I'm pretty sure you want to
Yeah.
comment.
Well, I appreciate myself explaining to me how it became your opinion. I can. It's more clear now. But I find it very offensive when she tells me to calm down. I find it extremely offensive.
Oh no, you don't need to calm down. I'm not
No,
saying
but
this to
but
like. I'm
Denise,
not
no,
saying.
but Denise Denise in the chat actually telling me to calm down, and I'm not trying to, and I'm not being confrontational. It's just that, um, a lot of it is new, so therefore I'm trying to process all this.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anytime you ever want to sit down, and I could tell you about this. But if you ever have time, because people got to go slow with this shit. This isn't easy to, I believe me, me because I'm naturally rebellious, and when I got into my late teens and when I started approaching young adulthood, I already knew something was off. There wasn't something because what I learned in catechism as a little boy in the Dominican Republic wasn't what I was seeing people practice as far as
Okay.
Roman Catholicism goes. Okay.
Hmm.
With the evangelical churches, what I see is straight up hypocrisy. What
Okay.
I see with evangelical Christians is straight up hypocrisy, especially if you go to one of their services where people are getting possessed by the so-called Holy Spirit. They don't, and and especially when they're speaking in tongues. Like, I understand the biblical verses that justify that, but I have actually listened to people supposedly get possessed by the Holy Spirit, and they start speaking in Congo language that I can understand. I'm not fluent in Congo, but Congo as it's spoken in Cuba, because I do practice an Afro-Cuban religion that's based on Congo beliefs. I know some words here and there. So if I hear them say cunacieto, if I hear them say engombe, I already know what they're talking about, and that ain't no Holy Ghost. A lot of people don't seem to sit there and realize that when these things authentically happen, because I believe a lot of people are bullshitting us. And I, even in the religion that I practice, a lot of people, they say they mount spirits, and I don't fucking believe them. But when these are people who would not know this terminology, and these words start popping out that I can make out, I already know that there's something else that's going on here. And in my opinion, it's either their spirits, their guardian spirits, or their ancestors. Because I've seen the shit. You understand? It doesn't happen very often. Again, I think a lot of people that when they start speaking tongues, they're driving themselves into ecstasy, and then they have to manifest it somewhere. So they let themselves go up to this vibration where they just start blah, 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 blah. I'm not making fun of them, but it's they're basically allowing their minds to go into an altered state and to manifest a higher spiritual vibration. If you want to call that the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, if that's what helps you sleep at night, that's fine. When I see it, it's something completely different.
Hmm.
Thank
Well,
you.
okay. Well,
Um,
I
I
must
want
say,
Jose to reply. I know he has some comments
yeah,
he wants
yeah,
to
okay.
address.
Well, okay. Well, okay. I definitely do want.
Calmly, please.
I
Calmly.
definitely do. I definitely do want a reply. Um, we have had disagreements regarding baby boomers, and that's fine. Well, that's us that we're going to disagree. And I understand her situation. Um, Unfortunately, the so-called Christians that she's been with did not give her a proper example, which left, which led, the choices that she made. My thing is this, okay? Christianity is part of is part of what I am, okay? So I'm just a little, and I'm trying to keep it positive. But if you're going to accept me, you're going to accept me in my entirety. Part of it is it's my belief. Now I do not impose my beliefs on people. Okay, I accept people as they are. I listen to what you say. Okay, well, you seem to be making comments, observations about me. So I do take it a little bit personal. But telling me to calm down when I didn't say anything excitable, I don't understand that. Please explain.
I think everyone's just, speaking from their own personal viewpoint, which is exactly what I want because I felt kind of alone initiating this conversation regarding the paranormal, seeing things I can't explain, having people who practice and worship and are birthed into this culture of this not being weird but a thing or tradition or a generational thing that's passed down, and having Maseo be able to educate us behind the scenes regarding religion and how some of these things are actually factual. So I don't want you to take anything personal, Jose. I think she's speaking about the whole
Well,
religion
unfortunately,
altogether, not you.
unfortunately, when she told me to calm down, when I wasn't being excitable, she did made it personal. Okay.
Oh, okay, I
So
understand, but
and
I
for
don't
those who
want you to take
disagree,
it personal. She's not attacking you specifically as if you represent the entire Christianity culture. I don't
okay,
think that's what she means anyway. I don't think she does.
telling me to calm down when I have not said anything to warrant that, that's going personal.
It's always touching when we talk about religion. But I have a question. I have a question. I have a question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your question?
KFIT, you're 100% Black American, correct?
Yes, I am. My mom and my dad are African American, but I do think we have some Caribbean and Filipino blood in the bloodline.
Okay. Okay. Do you have experience in the South?
Yes, I've been to several family reunions. I haven't lived in the South, but I have a lot of relatives in the South. Yes.
Have you ever seen a bottle tree?
No, I was down there as a youth, not as an adult.
Okay. Even as a youth, you never saw like in the front yard, uh, like you know the old school Coca-Cola bottles that were made out of glass?
Yeah.
Okay, you've never seen an actual like a piece of stick with other sticks sticking out of it and Coke bottles inserted into those sticks. It looks like a tree. You never saw
Not that
that.
I can remember, no.
Okay. African Americans from the South used to do bottle trees. And I don't think a lot of them realized what they were actually doing. That is a technique that actually was brought over from the Congo people that were enslaved and brought over into this country. And they had a form of doing this back in the Congo, and it was used to catch spirits, evil spirits. So it was an instrument of preventing spiritual attack. There's a book by Robert Farris Thompson called The Flash of the Spirit. I suggest if you can, if they have it in the library, you live in New York City, very good libraries there. I suggest you look for that book and you read the chapter about the Congo influence in the Americas, and they actually start talking. They start pointing out at certain things in South African African American cultures that was actually brought over from either West Africa or Central Africa.
I'm definitely gonna look into that because in a weird subconscious way, I'm thinking like, okay, are these visions of things I'm seeing going way back to the Ouija board experiment, and I just don't know how to correct this. It's so
Well,
weird.
for people that are spiritually sensitive, it is not uncommon for your own spirits and for your ancestral spirits. Remember, you have blood spirits, blood ancestors that can manifest in spiritual form. You also have your spiritual guides. Very rarely are spiritual guides and blood ancestors one and the same. You have one set that's your blood ancestors, you have another set that's your spiritual guides. These are people that lived, okay, that may not have completed everything they had to do on earth, so they're stuck here. But in order for them to elevate, they have to protect people. They take on the role of spirit guides in order to help humans who are in this physical terrain make the right choices to offer them protection, and in that way they could elevate themselves. You see what I'm saying to you?
I
That's why
really believe in that. I really do.
it's one of those things where people who are actually spiritual, and know what they're doing, they can actually give light to them by giving them candles. You could offer them, sometimes, depending on the tradition, you could offer them food. You can offer them candy. You can offer them liquor. You could offer them tobacco. Sometimes they'll even, if you go to a spiritualist session and these spirits manifest, they'll tell you what they would like. Okay. Now, liquor isn't for liquor in the spiritual realm is looked upon as something else. I mean, even in Christianity, if you were brought up in the church, there's a lot of wine, right? There's just a lot of wine. The whole Bible is replete with wine. It was something that was a common drink. So don't think that because you're drinking liquor or you're leaving liquor out for them that this is somehow low vibrational. You see what I'm saying to you? But I also want to make clear that we also have lower vibrational spirits that encompass our spiritual court, to make it our spiritual pantheon. With those spirits, you have to be careful with. Especially if you have, let's just say you had a blood ancestor who may have been a drunk or a drug addict or may have committed suicide or was mentally ill, and somehow they are able to attach themselves to you. You got to do something about that, and there's things that you can do in order to break the influence of that particular spirit, because that's where the whole thing of generational curses start coming into play. So we are taught that the sins of the father are not the sins of the son. But a lot of that generational trauma happens to be passed down from generation to generation. And people who are spiritually sensitive and are inclined to do so will actually attempt to break those generational traumas in order to better themselves and the lives of their descendants.
Very nicely said, Mister. I actually did I think a couple of streams on generational curses, and I don't think I really had a lot of feedback and engagement because a lot of people I feel don't want to own up or show accountability or tap into that and say it's something they've experienced. It's like taboo to talk about it when we know it's really real in certain communities.
There is another book I would like to recommend. It's a book called Ancestor Paths. If you feel like like a spiritual sensitivity, I would read that book. It's probably one of the best books for beginners that I can think of in English.
Please drop the link to that if you have it, or maybe when I catch you on Jose's stream, I can bug you for that title.
I'll send it to you on this. I'll send it to you on Instagram.
No problem. Thank you. We're following each other on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, great. No problem. I really appreciate the chat is going crazy right now. Again, I want everyone who is here to not take this topic personally. I felt like I was alone with the comments and stories I told, and I felt like you guys thought I was going to be super crazy. But I feel relieved to hear that you all have your own personal experiences about this topic tonight. And I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want anyone offended by anything tonight. This is just everyone speaking their mind, their own viewpoints, their own experiences about what they've been through. We've all been through something differently, and different, and again, I know culture and personal values and beliefs are a big thing on this topic right now. So I really don't want to offend anyone. I don't want anyone leaving the platform feeling a certain kind of way or being in their feelings. I just want us all to share respectfully and for everyone to leave the platform, just feeling relieved that they were able to express their viewpoints and not leave feeling any kind of negative way. I just want to say that. So yeah, just want to put that out there. I'm
Okay,
concerned
well,
about Jose
okay,
right now. I don't want
okay,
him feeling
okay,
any way.
okay. We're all due respect. And again, I'm gonna ask you, please look at the screen in the playback. Everything I have said, it was within the context of my own personal experiences, and I also stated that I understand that I'm not. That I also stated that I understand that there are people who do not share what I believe, and I respect what they believe. Okay, so all I'm going to say is If there's any misunderstanding, please view the stream in the playback. That's all I'm
Ah,
going to say on that.
Jesus. Okay.
Okay, understood. So I want to just wrap this up because I respect and appreciate everyone's viewpoints, and I want everyone to have a great night after leaving my stream. And I want you guys to have positive thoughts when you think about KFIT now. So can I just get final thoughts from everyone regarding this topic regarding the paranormal? Do we believe or do we not believe? Final thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
Um, okay. Well, okay. It does. It does. Okay. There are people who do believe in the paranormal. Okay. I okay. And again, me personally, I choose not to believe, but I acknowledge the fact that there are people that do. And well, was good in the sense because at least I was given um, feedback and education regarding what is the paranormal. And Marcel did actually bring some very good points, and I really do appreciate Marcel you educating me on that. And the fact of the matter is this: it exists. Instead of just poo-pooing it, at least read up on it. And if you're gonna make a judgment, at least make it an informed judgment. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. I appreciate you always and forever, Jose. You know that. I appreciate everything you give me, all the experience, tips, moderator experience, and to do, what not to do behind the scenes. You know, I appreciate you, Jose. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for sharing your experience as a Christian, and giving us your personal core values and beliefs on the topic. I know you were hesitant to join. Thank you for joining and holding your own and speaking your mind and giving us some information about your personal experience.
Thank you.
Mr. Maceo El Moro, any last final words you'd like to grace the stage with? Thank you for everything you brought to the stage for me today.
Oh yeah, yeah. I appreciate you allowing me to come on, and yeah, my whole point was just to show that because most people are familiar with Christianity. I don't believe that like Christianity or Judaism are necessarily opposed to this. I believe that the texts are manipulated in such a way to kind of give that impression that these things are not allowed. But if you just take time to read the Bible, if you take time to read the Quran, especially, and to be honest with you, and I don't, there's a lot of hypocrisy in Islam when it comes to this. Um, I'm just trying to drop facts. I do believe that these paranormal things exist. I don't believe that there's anything inherently evil, though I do recognize there are malignant spirits. I do recognize that there are spirits who, if you mess with them, and especially if you offend them, they will mess you up. But just because you see orbs in a picture, just because you may see shadows, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil or that they're, but it is something that if you're experiencing these things, I highly suggest you find a professional to deal with it. Because especially if you're somebody who you're supposed to be, because there's people that are supposed to be practicing these things. And if you keep negating it, if you keep rejecting these occurrences are going to become more frequent and they're going to become more stronger. So they might be giving you a sign, and more than anything, they might not even be giving you a choice.
Right, for sure, because I'm not spiritual or religious. So I'm like, okay, I got witnesses that have experienced this too. So it ain't just me. Someone else saw this too. I don't think I'm in danger, but maybe I'm supposed to be paying attention to this. I don't know. I'm not afraid to be at home, but I don't know.
If you had when you were a little girl, when you were young, did they take you to church?
My dad's side of the family, not my mom's side of the family.
Your dad's side of the family, was it typical African American church with the reverend or the pastor and just a lot of energy in those sermons?
Yes, to the point where you was like, all right, it's not over yet. We still here.
But it's you could it you were in the cut, you were in the thick of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the pastor said, I don't know, Ezekiel, whatever, whatever, and then you hear people in the crowd, that's right, go on, like you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, that amp and excited, that church that's rocking and shaking the
Okay.
building.
The call and response, the call and the response is a distinctly African process. The pastor says something, and then you have the congregation, people in the congregation answer him back. That's a call and a response. If you listen to African music, especially from West Africa and from the Congo and from Cameroon, that's a very prevalent thing. The call and the response. So just keep that in mind. It's very unfortunate that a lot of African Americans, and not even just African Americans, the African diaspora who participate in these kinds of sermons don't really recognize where that manifestation is coming from.
Nice. You're making me look at these personal experiences that I've been through a little bit different tonight. Thank you. I really appreciate everything you had to say, as well as everything Jose Negron had to say. The chat has been on fire like this whole time. Like there's been so much being said, like paragraphs of text. I'm always trying to like highlight them to keep up with everything they're saying over there.
Well, I'm just
Marcel,
happy that you let me on.
okay, Marcel, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you um, giving me this education because
Oh
it's
yeah.
something it's something it's something to think about. And I apologize for getting a little a little excitable. It's just that um, there's certain concepts that truthfully, honestly, I struggle with, and I'm going to be the first one to admit it here.
I will
All of it,
just go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
all of it because I have not been exposed,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
I'm not trying to be judgmental in any way, shape, or form.
Oh no, no, and I'm not trying to attack you or your belief. I'm just trying to, give a context to it. That's all, and a
Okay,
historical context to it. I like to read a lot, and this is a subject that I have a lot of fascination in. I'm the type of person that I always like to look for the origin of things.
okay,
So when you talk to me, when I was, studying, you know, these religions, and I was trying to get into the meat and potatoes of it, I started seeing that a lot of the influences, in fact, Justin Martyr, I believe in the fourth century, when he was trying to convert people, he was actually drawing comparisons to the things that Christians believed and things that the so-called pagans believed. So when I think one of the quotes that Justin Martyr said is like, when we talk about that Jesus resurrected from the dead, we're proposing nothing different than the sons of Jupiter
hmm
that apparently resurrected themselves. I'm not really sure, but there are. I like to look for the origins of things. I'm the type of person that I'll tell you very honestly, and it's not a knock against you or your religion or anything. I really believe that Egyptian religion, ancient Kemet, had a lot of influence on Judeo-Christian and Islamic religion. It just profoundly affected the Abrahamic religions. When you really sit down and you look at this objectively without any bias, that's what I see. That's the lens that I'm looking at things through. So it's not a, don't take it personally. It's not a knock against you or anybody. It's
No.
just that, this is, think of it as a chain. Okay, so
Mhm.
if you go further up the links of the chain, you have that one starting point. As the links of the chain keep getting added on, things start changing over and over and over and over, and they get retranslated into something else. And then a new people with a new culture and a new religion usurp certain elements from that, from what was previously brought down, and then they put it in the context of their own worldview and their own religiosity. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, believe me, I do not take it personally. And again, a lot of it's new. So sometimes it takes a while for me for me to process all that information. But really got off the hinge, telling me to calm down when why? I mean, did I say anything that was off the chart wrong? That's all I'm saying.
Actually, let me answer Denise's Buddhism. I find Buddhism fascinating. One of
Okay.
the reasons that I find Buddhism fascinating is because Buddhism is a religion that started in the Indian subcontinent.
Mhm.
Yet, the most Buddhist countries on earth are in Asia. And if you look at Buddhism as it's practiced in China, and even better yet in Japan, they were able to mix Buddhism in China with Confucianism.
Mhm.
In Japan, they mixed it with Shintoism, which is their native religion. It's absolutely fascinating how
Okay.
they were able to take Buddhism and they were able to mold it into their own world, in their own ethnic and religious views. Another example of this is Islam in the African country of Senegal.
Mhm.
When you look at Islam in East Africa, the East Africans are very Arabized. They took on a lot of aspects of Arab culture and they sacrificed their own culture. But if you look at Islam in countries like Senegal, Islam was molded and adapted into a Afrocentric practice, which
Mm.
means that they did not let go of their ancestral ways. They incorporated Islam into them. That's why that's why Senegalese Sufism, especially practiced by the Wolof, is so prevalent and is so strong. And if you look at countries like Senegal, you don't really see the Afrocentric or the this Islamic fundamentalism that you might see in other African countries, especially in Eastern African countries like Somalia, like Tanzania, and Zanzibar and things like that.
Mhm. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. You guys are so educated on this topic. Like, I should have had my loose leaf paper, my 3 link loose leaf sheets, my highlighters, my magic markers, and everything. This conversation took such a different turn, and I feel like I've learned so much in this conversation. I thought I was gonna really just be here telling stories about experiences I've had, and it turned out to be so educational regarding Christianity, Buddhism, generational curses, personal values, spiritual, acknowledgments and identification, the church, Black and African American community, people. Like, this conversation went in so many different dynamics, and I'm grateful because I didn't foresee this coming initially. So I appreciate you all bringing everything you brought to the conversation tonight.
Appreciate it.
Uh, I think Denise was talking about that there should be a part two. I think if there is a bit of part two, I think I'll probably sit that one out.
Jose, don't be like that.
No, 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 because if if it's going to be that I'm trying to process information that I have never received before, and I'm struggling to, you know to, to deal with it. and then
it's
being
like,
and then being told to calm down.
okay, okay, all right, all right. I'm sure we'll hash this out. We'll hash this out. I don't think she meant it to be. I really, I don't like these types of disagreements with my friends. Um, I think we could hash this out. I don't think anything was meant by it that would mean that would be meant to be offensive and stuff like that. I don't like my friends to fight. I hope I certainly didn't say anything offensive. And if I
No,
did,
no, 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 no. No, believe me. In fact, if anything, you gave me an education tonight.
oh, I appreciate that. I
Okay, I
appreciate
really
that.
do. And one thing I notice about you, you're very patient with me because when it comes with these topics because and I'm keeping it a thousand. It's stuff that it's new and sometimes it takes a while for me to process.
Well,
So
I
I
think you're being
figure if
very,
I
I think you're being very patient with me. Most people in your position would probably call me a Satan worshiper by now.
yeah, but okay, I understand that. But remember, what regardless what some people think, I try to be respectable. We can disagree and we can learn while we disagree.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah. But believe me, if it was one of these other knuckleheads, which is why I really don't come on YouTube as much as I used to, then it would be a different story. Then I'd be yelling at the top of my lungs and offending them, offending their ancestors. I'd be going crazy. But I know you come from a good place, and I don't want to. It's like I'm not looking to try to convert you. I'm just trying to, for the benefit of people who may not have heard this information before and might be interested, I'm trying to give them like a little bit of information because it could be overwhelming to people when you start understanding that, some of the elements which you thought might have been proper from Christianity, from whether it's Roman Catholicism or it's from Protestant Christianity, and when you start saying, hey, listen, these elements were already in place hundreds of years before this was even a thing, a lot of people will not react very nicely to that. A lot of people will feel very threatened by it. And I also will tell you that there's probably things that might have started out one way in, let's just say, ancient Mesopotamia. And when Christians got a hold of that knowledge, they turned it into something else. My point is to show you exactly where it came from, though. So the reason why I did this is because a lot of Christians used to talk a lot of shit to me, again, calling me devil worshiper, Satan worshiper, Satanist, this on, so on and so forth. Even the whole concept of Satan itself is not a very well understood context within the Christian lens. Because Satan was something, started out as being something else, and over time was actually morphed into being the Judean Christian devil. And I gave you an example of that with Azazel in I believe it's Leviticus when they're discussing the right of the scapegoat. Leviticus is a book on witchcraft. It
Hmm.
is how to perform sacrifice,
Hmm.
animal sacrifice, what to do with the blood. Just, I will tell anybody if you can read Leviticus and you don't see the ceremony that's involved in that, just because Yahweh tells it to the Israelites, this is what you got to do. To me, that's still very much witchcraft. Sacrificing animals to sprinkle on the altar of the Holy of Holies? Come on, man. At least that's the way that I look at it. I challenge anybody. In fact, if you look at Luke chapter, I want to say chapter 2 or chapter 3, when Mary and Joseph present Jesus at the
Okay,
temple,
actually, I think it's Luke 2, and what happened was they had to offer, I think it was a turtle dove.
two turtle doves,
Oh, two, okay, I stand corrected.
two turtle
Okay,
doves.
yeah, okay, but like I said, a lot of it, and let's keep it real. A lot of Christians will automatically call you Satan worshiper, whatever. I prefer not to go that route. What I can do is I can receive information. I can take what's applicable to me,
Mm, that's
and
fine.
not and just not deal with the other part. So that's the reason why I will never make that judgment, associate, because I don't know you from Adam. Okay. And again, a lot of it's concepts when I have never heard. So it's like I'm trying to process. I'm trying I'm trying to process it. But I think if it's going to be if it's going to be an issue where I'm hearing stuff that's totally new, and if I'm asking questions, because I'm not asking questions to be hostile, I'm asking questions because I'm trying to process it. If that's going to be a problem, then I'm not going to participate in part two.
Well, you could always ask me questions. You know that.
Okay.
Okay, Jose. I'm not sure if I'll have a part two. I want to make sure you and I are good. I hate that you feel some way right now, but I understand you're strong in your belief as a Christian, and I'm not gonna call myself an atheist, but I don't claim any specific religion. I don't read the Bible or any kind of religious material daily, and or anything like that. But you have the respect to feel how you feel about this topic, and I hope you're okay and you're not, leaving the stream feeling any kind of way. I hope you're
Um.
good. Again, I don't want you feeling offended. You're a really good friend of mine and you've been very
Okay.
supportive.
I know, but at this point, if there's a part two, if I can, if I can't, if I cannot honestly question something, question something for my clarification, so I can at least not make a prejudgment, then it's best I don't participate.
Respectfully understood, I'm not going to fluffle the feathers anymore. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you could always reach out to me, Jose. You got me. We're in the chat together, so you could always I,
Okay, like I said, and I really appreciate it because I think I got an education from you tonight. I know a lot of Christians would not accept it as an education, but it was.
oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh my God, Jose, I'm feeling so bad right now. Like, oh my gosh. We're good, Jose?
Uh, you know what?
I
What's
hope
up
you're not pissed at
again?
me, man, and I hope you're not feeling
No,
a certain
no,
way
no,
about it.
no. Like I said myself, like I said myself, you gave me an education tonight.
I want to introduce Radicals to the stream. Yo, what's good? Thank you for popping in.
Here, what's going on, guys? I have no idea what the topic is. I was sent the stream, and I thought it was my sales stream for some reason because I saw my sale here, but now I see that it's actually KFITNOW. I didn't even know you had a channel, so shout out to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about the paranormal, but we were talking about paranormal experiences if you believe or you don't believe, and it got
Um,
it got all into Christianity and beliefs and cultures and values, and it kind of got off task. And Maceo's been great in educating us
gotcha.
on what we don't know, so
Yeah.
that's what it was about, pretty much.
Yeah, well, you have to include Christianity. We're going to be talking about the spiritual systems and paranormal type of things. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to include that if we're gonna really go deep into it. But me as a as a person who grew up in the church, I did see paranormal things. I did see certain situations and certain things actually occur in the church and outside of church. You know what I mean? So that experience right there, I'm pretty familiar with.
Nice. That's what I wanted this to be about. I didn't want to hurt any feelings or have anyone feeling any way. You guys are all supportive, even though Radical be throwing shots at me and other people stream like, what K-Fit sound like? She the girl that be gossiping. Like, I wanted this to be a good stream. I didn't want no feelings or no emotions. And Jose's everything to me. So I want to make sure me and him is good right now. And Maceo's been so educational on this topic.
You know what? Maybe I should have come in and participated, man. Because every time
No,
I
no,
come in
no,
and
no, 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 no,
every
Wait,
no.
every every time I
what?
come in and I participate, man, it's like
Wait, what
it's like
just
shit starts going south, man.
what just happened? It feels like I just walked into a room and people just finished fighting. What happened?
No, dude. It's just that I made some observations. You know me, dude. I kind of got too much. I shoot off a lot sometimes, and it might be a little difficult for people to kind of like understand. You know how I am, bro. You and me have had plenty of conversations on the
Yeah,
side.
of course, of course.
And sometimes I might say things and people may not be ready for what I have to say because especially if you're not used to it, for somebody, like I said, well, you've seen on other streams like way back in the day, people used to call me like Satanist and this and that and so on and so forth.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because I drop information that some people may view as threatening their worldview or their religious views.
Well, usually,
And
usually, outside opinions or outside religious practices to either a Christian person or a non-Christian person, regardless of the fact. Either way, if it rattles something, that means it's questioning like their whole existence, which it shouldn't be. It should be like, okay, you practice that. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, be open, a little bit more open-minded about certain things.
Well,
You know
well,
what I mean?
well, as far as being in the context of a debate, I do want, but not when I'm amongst my friends. I'm just trying to, she's talking about paranormal, and you know, we live in a Judeo-Christian society, and a lot of the times paranormal activity, even if it's 100% unexplainable and undebunkable, is always viewed with sour eyes, and it's always,
That's true.
labeled. It's always labeled as something evil
Yeah,
and
demonic
demonic.
and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
the thing is that people have to understand that it's either two things. It can be evil or demonic, or it could be a positive spiritual experience. It
that's
it's
what I.
it's
That's
two,
what
it's
exactly what I'm saying.
yeah, it's two things. Like my mom again grew up in the church or whatever the case is. She's super Christian, but also extremely spiritual. So she knows the difference, and it's kind of weird because she's not your average, Pentecostal. You know what I mean? Pentecostal. She's not your average one, and she even said it. If you feel something or it's something happening, but you're not scared, and it's peaceful, and something crazy that's unexplainable happened, then it's a positive spiritual experience. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Well,
how she broke it down. That's how she broke it down. But I don't know too much about it.
I would, I was telling K-Fit about, we have spirit guides that accompany us, but we also have our blood spirits of our blood ancestors that accompany us. When you become spiritually attuned, you start knowing who is who. You start knowing which influences you start coming under because these spirits will offer you influence and protection. But there's also spirits that you have to recognize. A good example of, I mean, all right, I'll just call it a demonic spirit just for clarification's sake. In Spanish, we call it un espíritu burlón. Espíritu burlón, a mocking spirit. So a mocking spirit is a spirit that will attack you and will
That's
lead
all
you
my that's
down.
all my exes. I'm mocking spirit. Not just like let me stop. Go
un,
go go
un,
ahead. My fault. My fault. All right.
un espíritu burlón, a mocking spirit, was a spirit that will attack you. Sometimes it's a spirit that you might pick up on the street when you're vulnerable and weak, or sometimes it's a spirit that somebody
That's
will
one
send
hundred
to
percent.
attack you.
That's 100% true, dude. Let me let people know. I don't know if I've been open about this, but there's a side of my Dominican family, right? Who are like santeros, like practice santeria. My mom was never cool with that side, that practice, but she was cool with that side. You know what I mean? But she wasn't cool with the practice, right? So my aunt, for some, she lived in the same building as I grew up with or whatever. In the once you open the door, the first thing you see is a little like a santero altar in a mirror. That's the first thing you see when you open the door. And I asked her, I was like, why you do that? And she said, whatever bad spirit is gonna come in is gonna bounce right back.
Gangster.
So that's how she broke it down, and she was a santera, like literally santera, yo. She would break people down, and my mom would do the same thing. She would know things about people that you like. Who the fuck told you? You know what I'm saying? And my aunt would do the same thing. She would know things about people like spiritually. Like I'm like, how the hell do y'all do that? You know what I'm saying? Like real quickly, I had an ex, right? At that time, me and her were together, whatever. And then I introduced her to my aunt, and she's like, clearly, she was like, "Yo, this shorty got wild demons inside." You know what I'm saying? She's she's fighting something like internally, and she was like abused as a kid and all that. I'm like, how the fuck did you get all of that from a high? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
and ended up finding out she was a very toxic female, like, you know what I'm saying. And but also my mom told me the same exact thing about that same woman. And mind you, this was like within the same couple of like hours. My mom and my aunt didn't talk to each other, but they saw the same thing. So I'm like, hey, yo, what? So there has to be something going on. You know what I mean? There has to be something going on. But go ahead, Marcel. I'm sorry.
Well, you
Uh,
actually made a
as
very
soon
good
as
point. Oh, go ahead, Jose. Go ahead, Jose.
um, okay, I remember years ago in a church service, there was a whole bunch of people that was on top of the lady because she was moving weird like, and everybody was convinced that she had a demon. Okay, so everyone was like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, blah, 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 blah. So what happened was one person got there, he told everybody to step back. What happened was this person was traumatized because this person was sexually assaulted. Unfortunately, and I'm going to keep it 1,000. One of the things that gives Christians a bad name, we see something that's unusual, it's odd, and the first thing we say is demonic.
Yeah.
It could be psychological. It could be maybe there's some trauma, there's
Yeah.
some mental trauma involved, and it's just that if they would just to calm down and just have an honest discussion with the person, they can pick it up.
No, Jose, you're absolutely right. Like back in the early 1700s, Christians thought a hiccup meant your spirit was trying to leave your body. That's what these people thought. So
Mhm.
yes, I understand that in the Christian faith, scientific, revelations and technology will open the eyes to past beliefs. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also in the same time, we have to understand that there's hard-headed people out there that still stick to their old ways. Like, for example, a lot of people may not know, but there's two factions of a Pentecostal church. There's a literally an old school fashion, which means that women should not be wearing makeup nor jewelry, no nothing.
Hmm.
Wearing skirts all day, every day, and basically bow down to the man. And there's another reformed version of Pentecostalism where women could do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And these two forms always clash within each other because certain people think it's a certain belief or a
Hmm.
certain way you're supposed to be doing something. You know what I'm saying? And there's even beef within that. So when certain people come with a certain mindset or belief system that says, well, that's not necessarily true, is this is the reason why, is because they automatically get shunned. You know what I mean? So I see your point, Jose.
Yeah. And all I'm going to say to my Christian brethren, before you start opening your mouth and saying that someone is demon possessed, why don't you try to observe the person a little bit? Why don't you try to get to know the person and see where they come from? I mean, if you approach it that way, you're going to see that a lot of the stuff that we like to attribute as demon possessed is emotional trauma.
Or it could just be demon possessed. That's it.
Okay. In fact, in the ministry I belong to, we are taught don't automatically assume that person is possessed by the devil. Observe and discern.
Yeah. So when the person starts flying and shit and start climbing walls, that's when you be like, oh, okay, that might be. I just play. I'm playing. I'm playing.
No, no, but like I said before, and I was explaining to Marcel, a lot of the stuff that he talked about, it's new to me. So sometimes I have a hard time. It's not like I'm being passing judgment. It's just sometimes it takes a while for me to process the information because I've never been exposed to it.
Yeah, yeah. It's listen. The way I go about it, by the way, my wife hates this about me, that I question everything, and I'm like, well, you have to. You can't just be going through life saying, okay, this happens, and you not really know why it happens. You know what I mean? But the way I see it is, and this is how I justify my aunt being a santera, right, and my mom being a Pentecostal Christian, both
Hmm.
having the same abilities and stuff. The way I rationalize it is that when you pray, it's just another form of meditation, right?
Okay.
And and there's certain people who pray to the point where their minds and the spiritual system actually coincide, and they start seeing things and they attribute that to God, when in reality it's just another higher form of meditation. This is how I see it. I'm not saying this is true. This is just how I see
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
th- that's what I think is happening. So when certain Christians say that I see a vision or I see this, I see that, I believe is just a higher form of meditation that they've gone to, that they've actually spiritually seen what's going to happen or what already happened. And that, to me, that's how I explain it.
Well, you know what causes me to get to see red flags when Christians tell me, "Well, God told me to do this, and God told me to do that." I mean,
Oh boy.
first of all, okay. First of all, I believe God speaks in many ways. Sometimes God just chooses people. I truly believe that, and we just lost radical. Um, and or God can speak to us in a song or in circumstances. But when it comes to like individual revelation, I question that. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but I question that.
I get it. I guess I have to have a whole stream on spirituality and religion because this has been interesting. Like, I don't go to church as I keep saying, but this has been very interesting. Just hearing the viewpoints from the people in the chat, the panel guests, it's been very interesting because you don't know what you don't know. So, this has been like a whole college course 101 right now. This really has been educational.
Well, I
Actually,
think
what?
if
Mm.
I'm sorry, but I think if there's going to be a cost, something about spirituality, I think I'll pass on that because you
Understood,
know,
Jose. I understand.
if people go to take what I say the wrong way, I mean, and again, I'm trying, like I said, I'm not being judgmental, and a lot of the stuff I'm learning, so it does take a while for me to process.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm actually like washing clothes, not because my wife forced me to do it. It's because I want to do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that we got into a fight or anything. I'm just saying, I want to do this at 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Hold on, wait. I'll be muted. I'll be muted.
No problem, Radical. Thanks for popping back in.
Okay.
I'm just gonna finish with it because Brad actually made a very good point. And it's trauma, and just being vulnerable. We could pick up a lot of things. I was talking about a mocking spirit. A mocking spirit is a spirit that will purposely lead you down the wrong path while you actually think you're going the right path. And it's only doing that to see you fall as a source of its entertainment. I don't know if I came across clearly with that. So it's basically a spirit that induces you to make all the wrong choices while you consciously think you're actually making the right choices. And when you fuck up, that spirit takes pleasure in watching your demise. It a lot of times we face these kinds of spirits because we're vulnerable to them. we're vulnerable to them. So that's why if people start venturing into this world, they need to find out what their vulnerabilities are and how they can correct them. So they don't give access to anything from the outside that could come in and turn their world upside down. And I could tell you that a lot of the times these things, you could get communicate. There's specific prayers designed to actually give you messages during dreams. I have very strong dreams. And the stronger the dreams are, I know something's coming down the pike. I know change is coming. If the dreams are so strong, when I wake up, my head is literally vibrating, I know that something is coming down the pike. It's like a warning system, so to speak. Now the change could be good or the change could be bad. That's time for me to start working in order to try and mitigate the change coming if it's a negative consequence by
Yeah,
cleaning
I
up my
can give
aura,
that too.
by cleaning, people don't know, having a messy space, a messy living space can actually contribute to poor spirituality. It could drag you down.
Hmm.
So you have to know what you're doing. It's not That's why I caution people, if you're
Wait,
not
wait, wait,
willing
wait,
to do the
wait, wait,
work.
wait. Hold on. Wait, my wife says the same thing. Just so I could be spiteful. That's not true. That's not true. Having a messy space doesn't mean that.
No, but just based off it, that's why I tell people, don't come into this world if you're not willing to put in the work. It's a lot more complicated than just going to church. It's more about, it's your house, your life becomes your church.
Hmm.
And that's the best way that I can put it. It's not just relegated to a physical building. Your whole life has to reflect your spiritual practice. The cleaner it is, the stronger it is, the more sensitive and the more, I don't want to say powerful, but let's just say the more able you are to start manipulating things in your favor.
Very
Um,
interesting.
well, what started was when heard about when Christianity is a European religion. So I just want to, just want to get some clarification. And then when I mentioned that, and again, this is some of the things that I'm trying to sort out. That we as a Christians we're taught to be in the world, but to be separate from the world, and then being told to calm down when, in my estimation, I didn't say anything that warranted that. That's when it really went up with off when it got off the rail. And again, I'm hearing a lot of stuff that's new, and I'm trying to assess it. Okay, so I
Definitely
cannot.
understand.
So I can't. So I'm not allowed to. You know, when it comes to stuff that's new to me, I'm not allowed to like try to process it and ask questions.
You're all good with me, Jose. No,
Yeah,
no
me too.
issues, no problems. I think we're all saying that here on the panel.
Yes, I am. I'm saying
Okay.
that. Yes, we're good. We're good. Guys, I'm gonna pop off real quick. It's been real. And
Okay.
KFIT, I'll reach out to you on Instagram.
No problem, Marcel. Have a good evening. Thank you for popping in and
You
giving
too.
us those juice and tea.
Yes.
You
Thank you
got it.
very much, Marcel. It was very educational.
You got it.
Well, I definitely want to wrap this up, YouTube. I'm going over the 2 hour mark, something I say I normally don't do because I'm in fear of talking too much. But this conversation has been super duper interesting. I've learned so much. Shout out to everybody who popped in. Special shout out to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Special shout out to Maceo. Special shout out to Latin Explaining with Denise. MK's Echo Chambers, Suds and Satin, the Radical Latino, um, Also, the 18th letter, as well as introvert Bariqua, Ramon. Thank you guys for all coming through, showing me love, giving me tea. I've already heard your last final words. I know Radical's washing laundry, so he's not really even tuned in right now. But
Yes,
thank
I
you
am.
guys.
Yes, I am. I'm always listening.
Oh, you always listen? Okay, so like I really appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, for popping in. I felt crazy starting this stream because I felt like you guys were gonna think, what the hell is wrong with her? What is she talking about? She's seeing spirits and shadow figures and orbs. Like I thought I was gonna be judged, but you guys didn't judge me. Y'all came with education, y'all came with credentials, y'all came citing religious beliefs, books, testimonies, y'all
Well,
talking about different versions
you
of the
know what
Bible.
shadow, you know what shadow spirits mean. Like if you see shadow people, you know what that means, right?
See, I see it in movies, but I don't know the real tea.
Oh, you gonna get pregnant soon. You better watch out. Oh shit.
Fuck
Let me
out of here,
stop.
radical.
Okay.
Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. All
Fuck
right.
out of here. Don't say no shit like that.
Let me stop.
But
All
it's
right.
been real though. You know, like I'm doing my thing out here. I got like a 1.9K video recently. I did a workout video that got like 800 views. Y'all showing me love, and I appreciate it because I'm still learning, and I'm learning from y'all. So
Yeah,
it's
I didn't
all
even know you
good.
had a channel, so I'm a sub. I'm a definitely sub.
What you mean? You didn't know how to channel? I'm on Jose's channel all the time. How did you not know?
I didn't know until today. Ramon sent me your video.
Well, you
You know
so
what?
big out here in the world. You don't know about us small people. That's what it is.
Brad, if you were to stop by my channel more often, you would know.
Well, if you stop talking about old people stuff, then I'll probably stop by. No, let me
Okay,
stop.
well, it's okay because some of us old people do have a sense of humor.
Yeah, but all right, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let y'all go. It's been real, and
Take care.
I'm a sub, bro.
Thank you, Radical.
All right,
Appreciate you.
all right, peace.
Well, thank you, Jose. We're the last of the Mohegans here, and you know, Jose, I did not want this to be 2 hours and 25 minutes. I'm in fear of those kind of numbers. That is
Well,
uncommon sense, Jose, and the grown numbers, not KFIT.
actually, I did a stream this week that went 3.5 hours, and I think it had to do with how to deal with female co-workers in the workplace.
Okay, I think I was present for some of that, not all of it, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, it's okay. Well, believe me. Okay. I usually don't do. I usually. No, I think it was feminism. Okay, I think it was feminism. That was okay. Normally, I don't spend 3.5 hours, but the reason why I spend as much time as I did, in my estimation, we needed to really have a full discussion because unfortunately, um, the feminism in its original context compared to some forms of feminism is totally different today. And unfortunately, certain men use the word feminist as a derogatory term. So the whole point was to try to bring it back to its original intention. And the fact of the matter is, we should encourage women to have points of view, even with points of view when we disagree, and even points of view when we strongly disagree. It's okay because when everything is said and done, we're adults and we can get past it, and we'll get past this
Amen. We'll definitely
situation.
get past this for sure.
Hmm. So
Well, I
and
hope you have a great night, Mr. Negron. You get some nice sleep in that cold and spear of Park Sister.
well, look, let's keep it real. I understand not everyone is a fan of cold weather, and I know sometimes I go overboard. So it's all good. It's all good, and you know you know, we'll disagree, but we'll love each other very much. So, it is what it is.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for, to debate, educate, communicate, talk, understand, add value, get information that we don't have.
That is so true. So
Well,
thank you for having me.
no problem. I don't have a backstage, so I'll see you probably tomorrow on one of your streams, okay?
Actually, I'm not doing a stream tomorrow. I'm gonna do a stream Monday at 6:15 p.m. and I'm gonna do something a little different. It's gonna be more like a motivation talk. And what it is we all deal with problems and difficulties. So it's gonna be how how you motivate yourself um, to function even with the trials and tribulations that we all face. So that's going to be it. I'll send out the link tomorrow. Um, Now I am going to try to keep it under 90 minutes, and most likely there's not going to be a backstage um, on Monday. Wednesday, I'm going to retell my story of how I become a homeowner because even though I shared it last year, it's always good to share success stories. So I'm just going to tell what were all the steps that I took in order to become a homeowner because that is a major achievement.
Absolutely. So I'll probably be a little bit late. I have a meeting in my development at 6 p.m. So I'll probably maybe silent if I join at 6 until I'm able to step out of that meeting. So I'll definitely check that out.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and shout out to everyone in the chat.
Thank you.
So, okay, so good night.
Good night, Mr. Negron. See you soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye. Well, there it is, folks. I just had a 2 hour and 29 minute discussion with about 4 to 5 different panel guests giving me their viewpoints regarding the topic of paranormal experiences. And we were educated. We went to church, we went to religion, we came back. Um, and we talked. We got some tea. We got experiences from different people. Some people agreed with me. Some people didn't agree with me. Some people understood. Someone took us back to birth on how it all started. We spoke about different religions and cultures, and different areas of life of how people view this topic. And it was engaging. It was interesting. It was so interesting that it went to 2 hours and 30 minutes and 25 seconds. So thank you to all of my guests who came to the chat. Again, that's Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. That's Miss Sayo. That's the Radical Latino. People in the chat. Shout out to the 18 Flutter. Shout out to Suts and Satin. Shout out to Latin Explaining with Denise. Shout out to Ramon, Introvert Weekwa. Shout out to everyone who pulled up, showed some love, dropped some tea, some comments, some views. Shout out to everybody who liked and subscribed to the channel. I got a few more subscribers. I'm definitely feeling that. Your girl is at 55, 55, 55 subscribers. I'm lit off that. I'm excited, because I'm a small channel trying to get out there, show my topics and discussions, and be original and stay true to myself. So thank you guys for rocking out with me. Thank you guys for pulling up wine, beer, alcohol, whatever you got. Thank you guys for coming through, and thank you guys for supporting, banding up together, jump on my channel at the same time. I appreciate that. I'm definitely checking out all you guys' channels whenever you guys go live. Some of you guys go live at times I'm at work, so I'm always like sneaking at work trying to watch when no one knows I'm working. So I'll be watching y'all, even if I can't come on. I'm watching on the low because the feds be watching me. I work in the courts, so they be watching me. But that's it. That's all for me. Thank you guys again. I'll be posting on my Instagram regarding next week's conversation regarding wine and FaceTime. Next week's 8 a.m. workout regarding what I'll be doing for week 12 of the fitness journey. And that's it. That's all for me. So take care. I'll see you guys soon. It's been real.